This Ronnie Lott card, does that one have a chance at a 10?
Check the back.
Yeah, check the... Oh, my God! Darn it! No! This box of 1985 Topps football cards could contain a card inside worth $5,000 or more. You ready to open it and see if today is my lucky day? Let's go. Here we go. Let's rip into this box. 1985 Topps football, an absolutely iconic set. Second year for John Elway. Second year for Dan Marino. Warren Moon rookie card. A lot of iconic cards. This was, by the way, certified by the Baseball Card Exchange, by BBCE, as being a complete and real box. Look at that. Doesn't that bring back the nostalgia right there? Let me pull these packs out. These even have gum in them, ladies and gentlemen. If I pull a $5,000 card, I might be chewing some of this 1985 gum before the video is over. All right, let me get these off the screen here and let me show you. I'm gonna go over here into Market Movers and I want to show you the cards that we're chasing for and the value. So here in Market Movers, I have pulled up all of the top cards from 1985 Topps football. And right off the bat, it is actually this John Elway second year card in PSA 10. $5,160 was the most recent sale of this card. It just sold recently. Second year Dan Marino card in PSA 10, most recently sold for $4,105 a couple of months ago. Warren Moon's rookie card, $2,880. Eric Dickerson, $1,775. Joe Montana, valuable card. A lot of these cards have a good amount of value if, and this is a big if they were to PSA 10 gem mint, because that can be tricky with these cards. These 1985 Topps cards are condition sensitive. Because of the black border, it shows issues a little more than other sets would, and that makes it difficult to get a PSA 10. But we are going to try. And we're gonna see right off the bat, man, look at that. Look at that old gum right there. It is just waiting to be eaten. It is just waiting to be eaten. Let me see if I can find the $5,000 John Elway PSA 10, or of course a card that looks like it could get a 10. And if I can, I will grab one of those pieces of gum and eat it. Now I gotta say that the cards look, I mean, right off the bat here, these cards look pretty good. Wow, look at this Morton Anderson throwback card. The centering on these is pretty good, maybe slightly off left-right on that card, but the edges, they don't show a lot of white. The edges and corners, maybe a little bit. I've got a black matte down here as well, so it's really going to accentuate any white corners or edges. It's not bad. This is one of the better boxes of 1985 Topps that I've seen. Now this one right here, you can see there is a little bit of white right there. So this one, for example, wouldn't have a shot at a 10. But I'm gonna go through these relatively quickly, and I am going, when I hit one of the key cards, we're gonna pause, and we are gonna see what the shape of it looks like. Tony Dorsett's one of those good cards from that era that people are chasing. So this is a card that would be worth me grading, especially if I think it has the opportunity at a gem mint. There's a tiny little bit of white right there, but I gotta say, guys, these cards are in really good condition. Look at the centering on that. The centering on that card is almost perfect. A little bit of white, a little bit of white. Let's flip the card over. Oh, well, now this one, unfortunately, has the gum stain on the back. So I struck out on this. The fact that the Tony Dorsett was the card that was touching against the gum, that's unfortunate for me, because that actually would have been one that I would have considered grading. There's another Dorsett card right there, but that is the kind of the insert Dorsett card. I would have considered grading that Tony Dorsett card if it wasn't for the fact that it happened to be up against the gum in my pack. Let's see. Yeah, see this one's got, so that's actually a wax stain on the back of that card. That wasn't up against the gum. Maybe that Dorsett was more of a wax stain than a gum stain. This side's got the gum stain on it. So basically, two of the cards from the pack are going to have a problem because the one on the one side is going to have a wax stain and one on one side is going to have a gum stain. So that is not going to bode well. Okay, I've got my Warren Moon rookie card, ladies and gentlemen. That is one of the best cards that you can pull from this. I'm excited to see that. It looks pretty good. This one's a little off top down on the centering. You can see how there's a little more border on the top than on the bottom. So this one wouldn't 10. But honestly, it looks good other than the fact that the centering on it is a little off. I'm impressed with the condition that these cards are in, considering that this box has remained factory sealed. Well, I guess at least I don't know how long it's been factory sealed for. It's BBCE certified, I should say. But these packs have been sealed, let me say that, since 1985. So we are talking 40 years that these cards have sat in these packs. And honestly, that Warren Moon rookie card looks pretty nice considering the amount of time that it has sat in packs. Oh man, this is a little bit of a trip down memory lane as we go through these. Warren Moon was definitely one of the cards I was hoping to get. Anthony Munoz, all-time great right there. All-time great lineman. Now, of course, these old products, as you guys know, if you ever opened up cards from the 1980s, they were generous with the number of cards that you would get. So we've got all kinds of packs to go through here, and that's why we're going to go through them relatively quickly. How about the little mini John Elway? That's cool. Little John Elway mini card there at the top. Very neat. Put that off to the side as well. What do you guys think of the design of 1985 Topps? Some people say this was their favorite design from 1980s football. Some people love the black borders. They love the bold fonts. Darryl Green, believe he was a Hall of Famer. Some people are partial to 1986, the year after Jerry Rice's rookie year, which is where you got those green field-looking cards in 1986. But some people prefer this 1985 card. Of course, this was the year that Ken O'Brien, he was a first-round draft pick, right? He was part of that incredible, I think he was part of that 1984 incredible quarterback draft class that included Marino and Elway. But Ken O'Brien was one of the guys from that class who, well, maybe didn't quite work out to the same degree that Marino and Elway did. Joe Theismann, that's a cool card. Yeah, some people really like this 85 design even more than the 86 design. If you were collecting in this era, what was your favorite design of football cards? Let me know in the YouTube comments. All right, so we're going to go through these. As I said, we're really, the main three you're looking for are Elway, Warren Moon, which we found one Warren Moon already. That's cool, a Walter Payton. Very nice. Elway, Warren Moon, and Dan Marino. And with it being Elway and Dan Marino's second-year card and Warren Moon's rookie card, those are the ones you're really kind of hoping for there. This was 85 was a little bit before. Oh, Howie Long. Gosh, is that a rookie? That's got to be an early Howie Long card. That's a really early Howie Long card. That might be Howie Long's rookie card. I want to say 85 was. I have to go back and look at Market Movers to see if 85 was in fact Howie Long's rookie card, because something in the back of my mind tells me 1985 was Howie Long's rookie card. By the way, if you want to get Market Movers to look up card prices just like I did right now to understand what these 85 cards could be worth. And of course, you can look up card prices in any grade. It doesn't just have to be PSA 10s that you're looking at. It can be any grade. You can try it for free. Just go to sportscardinvestor.com and click Market Movers in the main menu bar, or download the Market Movers app to your phone. Got a Dan Fouts card there. Longtime quarterback for the Chargers. Richard Dent, of course, I think 85, this was the Bears Super Bowl year, right? This was their Super Bowl year. So there you go. A Richard Dent card from the Bears Super Bowl year. Steve Largent. Haven't heard his name in a little while. Oh, look at that. Sweetness sets record straight. Now that's a cool card. I love the image on that card. Love the image on that card. Walter Payton running through the line. The fact that it's against the Packers, maybe a little bit of extra nostalgia there, a little extra something for the Bears fans with that Packers rivalry. That's a cool card. This one, unfortunately, is definitely top-down centering not good on that card, so that one's not really gradable per se if you're looking to get a high grade. But it's a cool card and a cool image nonetheless. All right, let's see what's next here. Oh, Neil Lomax. Okay, that's a throwback. I was wondering who was on that card. Leroy Selman. Popular guy down in Tampa back in the day. Real popular guy. That was when the Bucks were old school. When they had those old school creamsicle unis. Tony Eason. Jack Youngblood. Florida Gator great. He was in the Florida Gator Hall of Fame. Appreciate Jack Youngblood. All right, let's see if we can find some Marino. And let's see if we can find some Elway. We did just find some Charlie Joyner. There you go. Yeah, it's fun to open up these old products. I was talking about the price of these products, the price that these cards could get in PSA 10. Of course, the problem when you open up any old product, John Riggins, Redskins great there. The problem when you open up any old product is, you know, a lot of times, even if you're opening it brand new out of packs, like I'm doing right now, getting cards that are good enough to actually grade a PSA 10, that can be very, very elusive. Dwight Clark, there you go. Part of those great 49ers teams from that era. Yeah, a lot of times the cards come out of the packs. Eric Dickerson, that's good. That's one of the ones we were looking for. That's an early Eric Dickerson card. Pretty good condition. Looks like the left-right centering is slightly shifted on that one. So probably not 10 worthy. And that's the thing, right? As I was just saying, you get these cards out of packs. Clay Matthews. And a lot of times, Mike Webster, all-time great. A lot of times they're coming out of the packs where they are not, you know, there are very few of them that would be worthy of potentially getting a gem mint grade. But it's possible. Look, it's possible. On this channel, I opened up a box of 1980, what was it? 1988 Fleer basketball recently. And we got a few gem mint cards out of there. I sent them off for grading. We got a handful of gem mint PSA 10s. And some of those can be very, very valuable. Even the no-name players can sometimes be very valuable in PSA 10 if there are people trying to collect the complete set. Because sometimes it's actually the no-name players that are the hardest ones to get in PSA 10. And if people want to complete a complete set in PSA 10, they need it of all the players, including the no-names. So the no-names can sometimes be more valuable. How about Mark Clayton? He was part of that. Remember Clayton and Duper for the Dolphins? Part of that incredible receiving core to go with Dan Marino down there in Miami. All right, we're through the first quarter of the box. These vintage boxes are always fun to open. And they don't have to be expensive, by the way. Like, there's certain vintage boxes, if you just want to open and rip a lot of packs and have fun with it, like you can get, we actually here in Cards HQ, we sell, you know, boxes, 1980s baseball boxes. Like you can open up, you know, 87 tops, 88 tops. Phil Simms. Cool Phil Simms card. 89, you know, those years. I mean, those boxes are cheap. Like you can open up, you know, we'll sell certain boxes here. You can buy the whole box for like 30, 40 bucks from those eras. And get all these packs. Now, this one's more expensive because there are cards out of it that you could pull that can be very valuable. You know, $5,000 plus John Elway card can come out of these boxes. So that's why you're going to pay more for this box of 1986 tops. But there are plenty of boxes from this era, or sorry, 1985 tops is what I'm opening here. But there are plenty of boxes from this era that are really not that expensive and are just kind of fun to rip. A little fun trip down memory lane. There's a nice Roger Craig. He was part of those great 49ers teams. It's interesting as you go pack by pack through a product like this. Each pack can be a little different in terms of, the condition of the cards that are coming out of it. So I've noticed like some of these more recent packs I've been opening, the centering has not been as good. But in some of those early packs, the centering was really nice. There's a Joe Montana. Oh, I thought that was a Marino for a second. Would have been nice. Really want to see a Marino and Elway come out of this box. And there's enough cards that I think we should be able to get one. But I think the odds are in our favor of being able to get one of those guys here. Yeah, there's the Super Bowl. 49ers over the Dolphins. So that would have been the 1984 Super Bowl. 49ers over the Dolphins. That was Dan Marino's only Super Bowl, right? That was it, right? He made the Super Bowl his rookie year, I believe it was, with the Dolphins. And was it his rookie year or second year that he made the Super Bowl? Super early in his career for the Dolphins. He made the Super Bowl, and that was it. He made it one time in his entire career. They got beat pretty bad by that great 49er team. Everybody assumed, including Dan Marino himself. By the way, this is like the third John Riggins that I've seen. Would be nice if I saw 3 Dan Marinos, wouldn't it? Or John Elways. But yeah, I was talking about Marino. Everybody assumed, including Marino himself. Ooh, that's a nice one. Lawrence Taylor. Not well centered. See, the centering now all of a sudden is off on these. That one, it's really off. Look at the top bottom centering. Also, that lower corner right there, not good. So unfortunately now, the cards are getting a little bit less good conditionally than what we saw in some of the earlier packs. Hopefully this trend doesn't continue. Hopefully we revert back to getting some packs in here where the cards are coming out in better condition right off the bat. But yeah, I was saying Marino, he himself said that he thought for sure he would be back for subsequent Super Bowls. But you just never know. And he didn't make it back. He did not make it back. There he is. The man of the moment, Dan Marino, just as we're talking about him. And guys, that one is in pretty good condition. The centering better. Left, right, slightly off. The one issue I'm seeing with the card is there's a tiny little bit of white right there. You see that? Yeah, you can see that on the camera. Tiny little bit of white on the edge right there by my finger. Man! Oh, why does that white have to be there? Unfortunately, PSA will, yeah, it's there. Nothing you can do about that. PSA is going to see that. I may still submit it for grading anyway. So it's a little off, left to right, and you got a little bit of white. I think you're probably a PSA 8 on that card. That's my guess because you got the two things going on. Man, that's unfortunate. I'm excited to get the Marino. If it didn't have that little white along the edge, if the centering was a little bit better, we really could have been on to something. We could have paid for this box several times over, which would have been super expensive. By the way, as I'm pulling cards today, I am, of course, sleeving them up right away using BCW card sleeves. There they are on the screen. And, of course, I got BCW top loaders I will be using as well. We use BCW here at Sports Card Investor and Cards HQ. They're our official supply partner. We love BCW supplies. They make everything from, top loaders and penny sleeves. There's another Howie Long, by the way. That one actually looks really nice. Well, I guess maybe left, right's a little off. Yeah, left, right's a little off. Nice other than that. We use, Ronnie Lott. I keep getting distracted by these cards. They're so cool. That one actually looks really good. Okay, this Ronnie Lott card, does that one have a chance at a 10? Does that one have a chance at a 10? I could see it. I could see it happening, guys. That one, the centering on it, looks the most perfect of any card I've pulled so far, and there's not noticeable white on it, on the edges. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.
Check the back.
Yeah, check the... Oh, my God! Darn it! No! The wax stain. The wax stain. The card that is the most perfect of all the cards I pulled so far of a Hall of Famer has the wax stain on the back. Why? All right. We'll continue on. Man, I was getting really excited about that for a second. I thought I had a PSA 10 on my hands, ladies and gentlemen. I can't even submit that for grading. Oh, that is rough. Rough with a capital R. Goodness gracious. All right. Okay. Anyway, I was saying BCW is our official supply partner at Sports Card Investor and Cards HQ, and we get all of our penny sleeves and our top loaders from them, and they also make great binders and card storage boxes and all kinds of stuff. And if you need any supplies for your own personal collection, if you go to bcwsupplies.com and use promo code SCI, you are going to get 10% off your entire order. So once again, stock up on supplies. Go to bcwsupplies.com and use promo code SCI to get 10% off your entire BCW supply order. All right, little Joe Montana to start that one as well. Man, thought I had a PSA 10. It was actually my producer over there on the desk, Rob, that was like, flip it over, Jeff. That Tony Dorsett looks really good. I'm afraid to flip it over. It looks good, doesn't it? Look at that. Look at that, audience. That looks close to perfect. Flip it over. No wax stain on the back. The centering on the back's actually a little bit more off, but PSA is forgiving on that. So the centering rule on the back for it to get a 10, I think is just like 75-25, which that falls within. On the front, it's got to be 55-45 in terms of percentage. And I think we're there. I think we're centered well enough for a 10 on that card. And I mean, it looks good. There's a little bit, maybe a tiny little bit of white up here. It looks pretty perfect to me. I don't know. I'm going to declare that a really good candidate for a gem mint grade. We'll see if the graders agree with me. How about this? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Could this next card be even more special? The Warren Moon rookie card. Do we have a perfect condition example of the Warren Moon rookie card? There's a little white right there. Will that come off? It comes off. That was just a little dust. Okay, maybe the centering slightly top down. It's slightly more shifted down, maybe. Let's compare it to the Dorsett. Yeah. It's slight. But the image on the Dorsett is slightly, I don't know. They're pretty close. The Dorsett's got a little more black bar on the bottom than the Moon does. The Moon is really nice. That's a nice copy of that Warren Moon rookie card. I've got to submit this for grading. What do you guys think? Predict the grade in the comments. What do you think? I think that's a nice copy. I think that is a nice copy of the Warren Moon rookie card. Check the back. The back looks pretty solid. The top-bottom centering on the back's a little bit off, but they're not going to knock it for that. They're not going to knock it for that because that's the back. The front's what's critical. I don't know, guys. Kind of like my chances on that. All right. Let's penny sleeve that up. Okay. Okay. Now, if we could only find a John Elway that I feel that strongly about, we would really be in business. All right, let's go. I feel like we got a little momentum now. We got shocked by the wax stain on the back of the Dorsett, but I feel like we got a little momentum now. Or not on the Dorsett. What was the wax stain on? It was on the Ronnie Lott, right? The Dorsett looked good. All right, we got a little momentum now. Let's keep this going. Where's my John Elway? Not in that pack. We are precisely halfway through. We have ripped half the packs. We're going to go a little faster through the second half. We're really hunting for the Elway. Ozzie Newsome, all-time great. Not a lot of action shots. I will say, a lot of good, like these are really all more like kind of, close-up player portrait type shots. You see the players like face is good. Helmets off for the most part. Not helmet off on that one. Who is that? William Andrews. Okay. I prefer the action photography a little bit more, I'd say, than they did this year. But they wanted to get, I guess, the really good portrait photography in here so you could see all the players' faces. Some may prefer that. Another Ken O'Brien card. So we've got two Ken O'Briens. That is not the second-year quarterback I'm necessarily looking for. I'd like another second-year quarterback who, at the time, was playing in Denver. See if we can locate him. Well, I found him in the small format. There's another Elway. But, of course, I want him in the big format. All right, here we go. Rushing leaders. Kind of a neat card. All right. 36 packs inside these boxes. So we're obviously going to do a lot of ripping right here. A lot of gum for those of you who enjoy the gum. I got to say, I actually wish that they would start putting gum in products again. I mean, look, not the good stuff, like not the high-end products. Like, you don't need to put gum in Topps Chrome, even though that's not the highest end product, but like, that's fine. I don't need gum stains on my Topps Chrome cards. I especially don't need gum stains on my National Treasures cards. Let's keep the gum out of there. But I mean, like, how about like Topps Big League Baseball? A product that is really honestly a little more oriented for kids. Or like Topps Opening Day Baseball or Topps Holiday. That's like a kind of a cheap, inexpensive product, just meant to be a fun rip, not really meant to have a lot of value. There's another Walter Payton. Why don't we put gum back in that? Like, give the kids some gum to chew. Give the adults some gum to chew. I guess Topps doesn't own the candy company anymore. Topps used to, Topps business was like half cards and half candy for a long time. And then when, we got a checklist. Ironically, the checklist cards can sometimes be valuable to grade. Because if you get a checklist card that grades high, like a 10, a lot of people destroyed the checklists. So the checklist cards can be a lot more scarce. And if somebody's putting together the complete set, they need the checklist in a PSA 10 if they're trying to put together a complete set of all the PSA 10s. I didn't look up what the checklist price was specifically for 1985 Topps, but I know for some, like especially like some of the 80s basketball cards, some of those years, the checklists are actually very, very valuable. Ed Too Tall Jones, Jim Jeffcoat. All right, I'm building just a pile of cards over here. An absolute pile of cards. As I hunt for the Elway, hunt for the elusive $5,000 John Elway PSA 10. Are we going to find it? Oh, boom! We got an Elway. Let's go. Let's go. Let's see, guys. Let's see. What do you see? What do you see? What do you see? All right. What I see is good, but not perfect. I see a little bit of white in that corner. I actually see a tiny dimple. When I catch it in the light, you probably can't see it on the camera. Oh, you can. Look at that. Right there. You see a little dimple by my finger, kind of in the black border. How the light reflects off of it when I turn the card. There's like a little bit of a dimple. There's a little bit of a indentation in the top edge. You see right there? I just caught it in the light. See that top edge? There's a little bit of an indent. Unfortunately, every single one of those things knocks the grade down. It's also slightly shifted down top to bottom. So I see good but not great. I see probably a grader that probably gives that thing like a 7. So that unfortunately is not going to get it done. I think that's going to be like a 7, maybe an 8 if I'm lucky. It's not going to get a 9 or a 10. Not going to get a 9 or a 10. Okay, but you know what? It's still a second-year John Elway card. And you know what? That's pretty darn cool. I'm happy that we hit Elway. We still got a number of packs to go, so we're going to try to hit another Elway. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. We're going for a second Elway. Let's get a second Elway or another Marino. Let's end with a bang. I'm glad we got one, though. That would have stunk to go through that whole box. Dwight Clark, and to not get the Elway. We got the Elway. That's the one you want. So I'm glad we got the Elway. Feel good about that. Feel good about that. And feel good about the condition of a couple of those others. Like that Warren Moon I was looking at. There's some nice cards in there for sure. Oh, another Warren Moon. All right, we're going to get to that one in just a second. Jack Youngblood. Okay, so there's that Moon. That one, horrendously off center. Horrendously off center. Look at the top bottom centering on that. Almost no black border at all on the bottom, and a huge black border on the top. So, not a grading candidate. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. It's so wild, isn't it, that these all came out like, you know, look, these cards were back-to-back in the pack. These two cards came out of the same pack. Like, look at that difference. The Jack Youngblood, perfectly centered. The very next card, Warren Moon, horrendously centered. People complain about the quality control of cards today. People say, like, how do they mess up and make all these cards not great? Well, go open a box like this of 1985, and you'll actually appreciate the quality control today. You know, I know people were mad about this year's Prism football having like print defects and not getting very many 10s, and I get it. It should have been better. At the same time, like, it's still a lot better than it was back in the 1980s, that's for sure. Of course, it should be, right? I mean, we should demand and expect it to be better than it was back in the 1980s. That's not an excuse. And of course, today they're using better print technology and more expensive paper and all that kind of stuff. Walter Payton, record breaker. That would be a nice card to grade, except look at the left-right centering on that one. That is horrendously off-center. Like, there's almost no border on the left, and the right, there's a giant black border. So, you know, that's what happens, right? That's what happens. So, I guess, you know, if you're Panini today, and people are mad about your 2024 Prism football, you can point them to this video and say, yeah, you like how it was back in 1985 when Topps was making the cards? But of course, it should be better today. It should be better than it is today. I'm not giving not letting Panini, not giving Panini an excuse on that, because, you know, we are living in an age with better print technology, certainly better, you know, better cardboard that they're using, better, you know, all that stuff. Plus, by the way, people are paying what? How many more times are people paying today for boxes than they were back in 1985 when these boxes came out? Oh, 30, 40, 50 times? at least, right? It's probably 50 times more expensive today to buy a box of Prism football cards, 50 times, than it was to buy this box of 1985 Topps football when it came out. There's another Eric Dickerson card. That one looks in really good shape. That is maybe a tiny little white on the corner. Actually, now that I look at it, yeah, you can see that on the camera. All right, I was about to celebrate because the centering on it's solid, but then I do see a little bit of white in that lower right-hand corner. Still going to put it in a BCW penny sleeve. We'll look at it closely later. But yeah, I guess we're paying 50 times today what we paid back in 1985 for a box of football cards. So I guess we should demand better centering today than we did back in 1985. All right, I got a pile, by the way. If anyone wants any gum from 1985, I got you. Just pop over here to Cards HQ. I got your 1985 gum in a stack over here. Dexter Manley, all right. First time, I think maybe the first time we've seen him. Andre Tippett. We've got about 5 packs left, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting towards the end of the box. I'm excited about this next football season. You guys excited out there? We're not far now from that time, right? We're not far. Phil Simms. It's a pretty nice looking copy of the Phil Simms card. Football is going to be fun this year. What's going to happen? Are the Eagles going to repeat? Are the Lions going to break through? Are we going to see somebody else from the AFC other than the Chiefs? Are one of those quarterbacks that everybody loves, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, are they going to break through this year? Is this their year? How are the rookies going to do? How are the second-year guys going to do? There's a lot of intrigue this year because there's a lot of intrigue every year. NFL is such a good sport. I love football, but I'm excited. Randy White, all-time great there. See what that card looks like. Yeah, little corner issue. That's cool. Check that out. NFL passing leaders 1984, Dan Marino, Joe Montana. Of course, they also met in the Super Bowl. Not the best condition copy of that card. That would be a really cool card. You know what would be really cool? If that card was signed by both of them. I bet there's some signed copies of this out there where people have had them sign this card, both of them assigned. That would actually be a really cool card, wouldn't that, for PC? I might have to go look on eBay and see if there are any signed copies of that card that's a dual signed. Another Ken O'Brien. Wow. We are attracting the Ken O'Brien cards, aren't we? 4 packs left. I don't think we've seen this one yet, have we? Tommy Kramer, okay. Jim McMahon. First Jim McMahon sighting. Unfortunately, the card's completely destroyed because of the gum. The gum totally like wore into the card. You can see all those dots on the top of the card. It is like mega destroyed, which is unfortunate because of the gum, but cool card nonetheless. That would be his Super Bowl winning year. That was his year. Jim McMahon, Super Bowl Shuffle, 1985. That's probably the year that I first really started watching football, was that year, paying a little bit of attention to it. I was young still. I was in, what, second grade in 1985. Another Dan Marino. That one looks pretty nice, guys. Yeah, that looks nice. Maybe a little left-right off center. Yeah, it's a little left-right off center. But the edges and corners look pretty good on that one. Of course, getting it all together on these cards is so difficult, right? Like finding the copy where it's like the edges are perfect, the corners are perfect, the surface is perfect, and it's centered. That's elusive. And you know what? That was why the PSA 10s are so valuable. There's not many of them. A lot of boxes of this have been opened, but not a lot of cards have qualified for a PSA 10 grade. Marcus Allen, first time we've seen him. That's pretty cool, although unfortunately that one is the gum issue as well. That was at the end of the pack. So that got gum ruined. Okay, guys, last pack. Here we go. Last pack mojo. Come on, let's go. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we're going to end with. Can we get a little fire at the end? Billy Sims. Another Howie Long. That one not in such great shape. Joe Nash. Ronnie Lott. That was one I was really excited about before. And this one, just like that other one, looks like it's in really good condition. I don't think this one's going to have the wax on the back. The other one did. It does not. Okay. So now I've got a Ronnie Lott that I'm actually excited about. This one, just like the other one, looks really solid, guys. The centering on this, to me, looks perfect. And I don't see any issues at all with edges or corners. And the surface, I'm not catching any issues with the surface. Okay, guys. Maybe we finally have the perfect Ronnie Lott card. I think we might. I think this one might be it. That might be a really nice card to submit off for grading. I think that is a really nice copy of that card. I think that's a really nice copy of that card. Okay, good. All right, that helps. That makes up for that Ronnie Lott that I was so excited about earlier that was messed up on the back. All right, last couple of cards. All right, didn't get the second Elway, but we did get a lot of nice cards along the way. Some of my favorites. Let me just recap real quick. We just had that nice Ronnie Lott a moment ago. We got that Marino, really nice looking copy of the Eric Dickerson. There was the Elway, not so nice. Some issues with that, but we still got an Elway. Warren Moon rookie card, really nice copy of the Tony Dorsett. We got a Howie Long. There was a second Dan Marino, a second Eric Dickerson, not in as good of a condition. Another Howie Long. We actually got 3 Howie Longs because we got this one as well, but this one was particularly messed up. And then another Warren Moon. So some of the names we wanted to see came out a lot, which was great to see. Really happy with how that box went. Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to get 10% off supplies at BCW Supplies with promo code SCI at checkout, and go get Market Movers so you can price cards out like these. Go to sportscardinvestor.com and click Market Movers in the main menu bar. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you soon with our next episode. Take care.